The McBee Dynasty. Real American Cowboys Stephen McBee Jr. shared a positive update on Dad Stephen McBee Sr.'s mindset following his recent prison sentencing. During BravoCon 2025 Day 3's Bravo Fing Bravo panel in Las Vegas, a supportive fan asked Stephen Jr. how his father was doing after a federal judge sentenced him to serve 24 months in prison on one count of federal crop insurance fraud in October. The McBee Dynasty patriarch pleaded guilty to the crime in November 2024. "My dad is the most optimistic person we've ever met in our lives," Stephen Jr. answered in the above video, seated on stage alongside brothers Cole McBee and Jesse McBee. "The man was built to handle stressful situations. If anything, we're more stressed out than he is." As he concluded, "We're just here to love and support him through this time, and as a family, we'll get through anything together." When does Stephen McBee Sr. report to prison? On October 16, a U.S. District Court judge ordered Steve Sr. to self-surrender and begin serving his 2-year prison sentence before December 1. He was further ordered to spend another 2 years on supervised release, in addition to paying just more than $4 million in restitution. What Stephen McBee Jr. has said about Steve Sr.'s legal battle and sentencing. News of an FBI investigation into Steve Sr.'s business dealings was documented throughout Season 2 of the McBee Dynasty. Bravo renewed the series for a 3rd season in October 2025, and filming began ahead of the patriarch's sentencing, allowing viewers to see the family's real-time reaction to the news. For now, we have some insight on how the family has supported Steve Sr. just hours before he learned the details of his father's sentence. For example, Stephen Jr. shared a photo of them on horseback to his Instagram stories, writing, "Love ya, Dad. Whole family is here for you," in a text overlay. Prior to that, Stephen Jr. further unpacked his heavy emotions on the matter in an exclusive interview with The Daily Dish as the patriarch's sentencing date approached at the time. Noting that he was feeling scared, nervous, anything and everything, he opened up by saying, "We love him so much and love our family unit, so to picture him not being here with us for any amount of time, it's scary." As Stephen Jr. continued, "We're focusing on the positive things we have going, of which there are so many, but I'd be lying if I said that Black Cloud hasn't been hanging over us every second of every day since we first found out. We know, no matter what, if we stick together as a family, we'll make it through anything." How Steve McBee Sr. has been spending his final days before prison. Steve Sr. has also given fans a glimpse into his state of mind via social media. The same day as he was sentenced, Steve Sr. posted an excerpt from Theodore Roosevelt's 1910 Man in the Arena speech on Instagram, and quoted William Shakespeare's Julius Caesar in the caption, "Cowards die many times before their deaths. The valiant never taste of death but once." Since then, his social media posts have largely shown him going about business as usual post-sentencing, working on the family farm in Gallatin, Mo., visiting McBee's coffee and car wash, cooking his favorite meals, and spending quality time with his pets and loved ones, including his 2 new grandchildren. Steve Sr. was even keeping up with his son's first BravoCon appearance, sharing several video clips from their interviews to his stories on November 16. As the deadline quickly approaches for Steve Sr. to begin serving his sentence, get details on Stephen Jr.'s new girlfriend, who has been by his side through the family's stressful time. In the days following the dramatic panel at BravoCon 2025, the McBee family found themselves surrounded by a wave of public support that seemed to grow louder by the hour. Fans of the McBee Dynasty, real American Cowboys, had always admired their grit, faith, and commitment to one another, but now, facing the most difficult chapter of their lives, the reality series' devoted audience appeared more invested than ever, and Stephen Jr. felt that love. While he and his brothers were still grappling with the emotional weight of their father's impending imprisonment, They understood the importance of showing strength, not just for the cameras, but for their community, their employees, and the younger generations watching them navigate adversity in real time. As Steven Jr. left the stage at the Bravo panel, he admitted privately to producers that the family had been bracing for the moment when the sentencing would no longer feel like a faraway event but an unavoidable reality. "We grew up seeing our dad as unstoppable," he said. "So watching him prepare for something like this, it shakes you, whether you want to admit it or not." But despite the emotional turmoil, Steven Jr. insisted that the family's routine hadn't changed as much as outsiders might assume. They still woke up before dawn. They still rode through the fields to check on cattle. They still gathered around the dinner table, even if every meal felt slightly heavier. "We don't operate from fear," he explained. "We operate from responsibility. That's what Dad taught us." The family's unwavering routine. Back home in Missouri, the McBee Ranch continued to function like a well-oiled machine. Friends, neighbors, and longtime employees described the atmosphere as somber but steady, noting that the family hadn't slowed their workload despite the overwhelming circumstances. In many ways, that was their way of honoring the man at the center of the storm. Cole, the more stoic of the siblings, stepped deeper into leadership roles on the farm as the December 1 deadline approached. Jesse leaned heavily into overseeing daily operations with the staff, keeping morale high. Meanwhile, Steven Jr., often considered the emotional center of the family, focused on handling the business communications and public responsibilities that came with their rising reality TV fame. "People think reality TV is fake, but everything you're seeing is real life," Steven Jr. said during a post-panel meet and greet. "The cameras don't change the fact that this is our family's livelihood. We don't get to pause the ranch while we deal with emotions. If anything, it keeps us going." Steve Sr.'s mental preparation. As the patriarch counted down his final days of freedom, he doubled down on the habits and values that shaped him. Those close to him noted that he seemed strangely peaceful, as though he had already processed every fear and regret long before the sentencing was handed down. One longtime ranch hand described seeing Steve Sr. repairing a fence line by himself, humming an old country tune. "He wasn't acting like a man about to go to prison," the employee said. "He looked like someone determined to leave everything running smoothly for his boys." Even more telling were the quiet moments with his grandchildren. The stoic cowboy, known for his tough-as-leather demeanor, softened visibly when holding the infants, often whispering little promises to them, promises that he'd be back, promises that they'd one day ride horses together, promises that the McBee legacy would still be theirs to inherit. And although no one knew exactly how hard the first day of incarceration would hit him, Steve Sr. genuinely believed he could handle whatever came next. His recent posts, reflective, philosophical, and sometimes even defiant, painted a picture of a man who accepted accountability yet refused to let shame define him. The family's growing support system. Meanwhile, fans were quick to notice a new presence in Steven Jr.'s life. His new girlfriend, who had quietly shown up at BravoCon and stood backstage during the panel, offering steady reassurance with every squeeze of his hand. According to insiders, she had become a calming presence during a time when his emotions were constantly stretched thin. "She's been incredible," a friend of the family shared. "She's not trying to take the spotlight, not trying to insert herself in the drama. She's just supporting him. That's exactly what he needs." Producers reportedly began filming some scenes featuring the couple, hinting that her role in Steven Jr.'s life could become an uplifting storyline in the McBee Dynasty Season 3, especially as viewers watch the family navigate heartbreak, leadership shifts, and the harsh realities of losing their patriarch, even temporarily. Looking ahead. With the clock ticking toward December 1, the McBee family has begun preparing for what life will look like without their father's physical presence. They're organizing business responsibilities, creating visitation schedules, and making plans to keep the ranch stable and functional. But above all, they're spending time together. Whether it's family dinners, sunset rides across the ranch, baby cuddles, or late-night talks around the kitchen island, the McBees are holding tightly to every moment. They know that the next chapter will test them. They know that public scrutiny will continue. And they know that cameras will be rolling throughout much of it. But like Steven Jr. said on stage at BravoCon, they'll face it together. Because for the McBees, family has always been the backbone of everything: the business, the show, the legacy, and the love that carries them through every storm. And as December approaches, one thing is clear: the McBees may be entering the hardest season of their lives, but they're entering it with unity, resilience, and the same unbreakable bond that has made them one of Bravo's most compelling families.